used to complete the escape sequence in the beginning. It can be bombs, it can be the fire rod, any of the canes, bow, hammer, or even a sword itself. So what do you think, Tiara, we're going to see?
I'm really hoping to see bombs in the chest. That's super convenient for them. Bombs are really important to get before you get out of escape so that you don't have to come back and do it again. And of course also for Kakariko. But as far as Uncle's weapon, I'm really looking forward to, I think the most interesting items are the canes, because they're interesting to use for killing things. Usually I try to farm some bombs.
Well, I think everyone tries to farm some bombs at some point in time in order to make sure. It's just a matter of if you have the magic to do so or not.
Exactly. That's why I think that the canes are the most interesting, because it's like, oh, you get the hammer, right? So you can just kill whatever you want and it's fine. But when you have the canes, you have to conserve your magic at least a little bit so that you can kill the proper enemies to open doors, get keys, that sort of thing. So I think the canes are really the most interesting.
So, of course, both runners open up with getting the hammer, which, of course, is, in my humble opinion, the best weapon to get. Does tempered through damage, absolutely. Just melts everything. But also ends up getting the cape in that first treasure chest. So
I smell an agaseed?
Oh, that would be absolutely torturous for these guys if we already have an agaseed looking like...
I'm a swordless runner myself, so I have a particular love for the hammer, but every time I see that cape early on, it gives me the shivers.
I think it gives everyone the shivers if they know what they're talking about. Early cape is just something you do not want to see if you're trying to avoid Aghanim in any capacity. And we get the first key. So something I wanted to point out to chat as we're going through this escape sequence, I want everyone to take a look at their heart containers. Recitador has yellow hearts. xIceblue has green hearts. This was a change that just happened in version 29. The admins decided that they wanted to have options so that those people with accessibility issues that have red-green color blindness, for example, would have an easier time looking at their heart and health counter if there were different colors that were available. So that is one of the many added options in version 29 for accessibility that the admins put in. And
we got some boots. Let's go. Jet Seed hype? I'm ready for it.
I mean, boots in the escape pattern, we should see some sub-6 areas. Zelda certainly can keep up with you when you're running. Love to see
what are those? Yeah, I'm super down for this.
Oh, xIceblue's got to be careful. He's looking at only a half heart health.
No problems at all. Expertly handled. Maybe. Okay, got him.
Well, it's interesting because xIceblue had to kind of reroute to make sure he didn't die. He ended up kind of ceding the lead a little bit there. He was doing very, very well there for a second. Recitador overtakes him because he's a little bit more conservative, making sure he doesn't get hit. And it is worth noting that even without the bombs that they pulled, now they can bonk the door open, so don't have to worry about farming bombs anyway. But they wouldn't before.
That's true. Well, but it's also, so the bombs are not just for escape, which of course they're super convenient for that, right? Like you definitely want them before you leave escape so that you can get to those 3 chests at the end of the sewers. But also you don't want to have to route down to a shop or something like that to pick up bombs on your way through Kakariko. You want to be able to get the Blind's Hut and the well, like, you know, right away as soon as you get to Kakariko. So
worth noting, you know, usually if you can get about 4:15 by the time you get back up into the level up those stairs, you're doing pretty good. Both of these runners had a sub 4 minute getting up to the top, to the first floor. So these guys are on absolutely blistering pace right now, expected with the boots. And they're looking at a really solid escape time right now.
Here comes the new world record. I smell it. It's in the air.
I don't think either of these runners would be particularly upset if this was a new record run for either of them.
xIceblue trying to farm these ropes a little bit. Not maybe looking for another bomb drop just to keep themselves safe, or a little health just to keep themselves alive.
I mean, it's hard to blame you when you're going through with only 3 hearts. Everything does just enough damage here to be a little bit terrifying without any sort of upgrades.
It seems really easy, but especially without a sword, I have definitely died in Escape once or twice. It's not impossible. It's not crazy to want a little bit of extra safety coming through here. Especially those rats get you trapped in a corner, it can be real bad.
I don't know if that's something I would necessarily admit out loud there myself, but I mean, I think everyone's died to Escape at least once.
There's no shame in my game.
Oh, I have lots of shame in my game. I'll fully admit that.
Oh no, I'm bad. I'm just not ashamed of it.
So recitador first through at 6:04 looks like coming through. Very solid escape time. We'll see where he ends up routing himself next.
Got that early 300 rupees, which is going to be nice for checking the bottle vendor. Always nice when you can go into an area, clear it. You don't have to worry about remembering, what's there, what you didn't get, have to come back later. So, and then, maybe an early Zora King had a little brain fart there. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Both recitador and xIceblue, of course, remember to check the Bonk Rocks, which is right on their routing to check the Lumberjack Cave, see if an Agassiz really will be required or not.
I guarantee I would have forgotten the Bonk Rocks.
And we have early map checks from both recitador and xIceblue. We see all 3 crystals available in the light world. One of them, I think it is Tower of Hera, was one of our 5/6 crystals for the Pyramid Fairy.
Recitador checking what I call the Spider Crab and being rewarded for their efforts with some nice cash right there.
Man, 10 rupees. This seed is just throwing money at them.
So the kind of choke points on money are: you want to have 100 rupees for the bottle vendor. You want to have 500 rupees additionally for King Zora. I believe it's 110 rupees to get into Dark Palace. And I can't quite recall how much the large bomb costs. Do you know? Is it 200?
I believe the large bomb is only 80, if I remember correctly. We have to remember both the digging game and the treasure chest game. Right. Although by then money is typically not an issue, and with crabs being 20 rupee drops for everything, money is absolutely not going to be an issue for either one of these runners going forward.
Recitador expertly solid snaking around that guard. I've definitely died to him at least once in my life.
Yeah, Recitador's got to be a little bit careful. He's only got a half heart at this point in time, but making it into the village, he'll be in good shape.
And xIceblue right behind them. Looking for some interesting items here. Obviously looking for so early game, if you're new to randomizer early game, you want to see that glove, that the power glove that was just got by Recitador there. You want to see a moon pearl, you want to see a lamp. All these things are going to help you avoid having to fight Aganon. They've already got the hammer, so they have Dark World access. They need a moon pearl, and they will have successfully avoided the Aganon seed.
See, I don't know, because lamp is also by logic required to defeat Aganon. So if they do not find the moon pearl in these early level locations, moon pearl might be required, or Aganon might be required to get our Dark World access, for example, to check if it's on the pyramid, which is completely possible for these two. So if I see that lamp, I'm a little bit nervous that Aga might be required at this point.
They've got that cape too. Which the cape can be, so for those who have played vanilla, the cape can be used to get through the lightning in front of the door to Aghanim's Tower, and we have silver arrows coming out early. That's something you really want to see. That's really nice. That's a load off for the runners.
I mean, silver arrows are nice at this point in the race. Not thrilling, but nice. I think I'd rather see the bow before I see silver arrows, but it's something that you know you're not going to have to do silverless Ganon for.
Again, as someone who plays a lot of swordless, the silver arrows are maybe a little extra exciting for me.
So we do see with both of these runners having so much extra money, they're going to route over and pick up some extra bombs, just in case.
Just in case. There's nothing quite as disheartening as running out of bombs at a crucial juncture. You don't want to be neck deep in Ice Palace and have no bombs.
There have been many seeds that I've participated in, either myself or commentated. Oh my god!
Oh, let's go! Oh man, this is amazing.
We have sub 12-minute silver arrows with the bow, with lamp. Are we going to go to
Eastern Palace
anytime soon?
Eastern Palace is a crystal, and it is totally open right now, so these guys are really happy to see these items right now.
See, this is really interesting to me. I know some people who are watching right now who may be new to Randomizer and thinking, oh yeah, Eastern, that's supposed to be the first place you go, right? And it's not that easy. Honestly, most people end up entering the Dark World before we can even consider clearing a first dungeon. So the fact that we're able to go ahead and clear Eastern Palace, which is a crystal, by the way, is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so if you're new to Randomizer, and you're just used to playing vanilla Link to the Past, in this game, in Randomizer, you don't need to clear every dungeon because the items are randomized. As you can see, they already, minus the Pearl, they already have Dark World access. So there's no need to go fight Aghanim, get to the Dark World that way, etc., etc. The pendants are entirely unnecessary unless there is a required item on the pedestal. So that's why the fact that Eastern Palace is a crystal is important. And if you have never played Randomizer, you might not realize all of the items that are required for some dungeons. So to clear Eastern Palace sort of correctly, like in logic, you need the lamp to get through the dark rooms, and you need the bow to kill 2 red Igors that are only vulnerable to the bow. So, and the bow in particular can be very trolly. The bow is really famous for just being locked in some weirdo location, and you can't even think about clearing Eastern Palace until very, very, very late in the game.
And we see our first real early route divergence, while xIceblue is kind of following the traditional routing in Randomizer, going south, hitting South Shore, and going to check this mini Buldorm cave. Recitador follows the seed and where it's telling him to go, checks the Sahasrahla cave there, gets rewarded with a sword, and he's going right to Eastern. He's not even worried about South Shore right now.
Honestly, I like the sort of adaptation by Recitador here, following those breadcrumbs, going straight to the Eastern Palace when you know you can clear it. Going like you said, going to Mini Moldorm Cave over here is sort of like the traditional opener. But if there's nothing useful in here, there's no use coming here. And even if there is something useful in here, it's not going to help you clear Eastern Palace, which you can do right now. So,
yeah, xIceblue ends up spending quite a lot of time. He did not pick up the sword because he hasn't gone to Eastern yet. So he's going through here and had a little bit of trouble with those mini Moldorms. Does pick up the Titansmith, though. That's an amazing pickup right there early.
That's a really good get. That's Dark World. Again, almost totally open. Still missing that Moon Pearl.
Moon Pearl could definitely troll our runners, and xIceblue takes a death. It's, only 4 hearts. It's really dangerous out in that overworld, especially with those crabs doing so much damage to you.
2 hearts with green mail, which is what they have right now. 2 hearts of damage from the crabs, I should specify.
Absolutely. So xIceblue is heading over to the eastern area, which is going to be a good play for him right now. We know Recitador will eventually be heading to South Shore. I'm not worried about him not picking up the mints anytime soon. So while xIceblue has a little bit of value that he picked up over Recitador, I don't know if it's going to be efficient routing based on what they've already got.
I don't think it will be, minus the death, I don't think it will be too much of a difference. I don't think there's really any time lost or gained there, so to speak. It's just if Recitador were to go to South Shore immediately after Eastern Palace, then you would expect Recitador to get the gloves around the time that xIceblue finishes Eastern Palace.
And chat is pointing out both runners have actually avoided Ice Rod Cave up to this point in time. xIceblue did head that direction, but he took the death. So if something important is there, that's not going to be good for xIceblue.
Well, the trick for xIceblue now is to just to remember that you didn't get it. It's very easy to go to a place like that, die, and then, an hour later you still haven't gone back, and you think, oh yeah, I went there. So hopefully xIceblue, I'm have confidence in them. I'm sure they're a good runner and will absolutely remember to go back and check that cave.
So at this point, our logic is looking pretty solid. I mean, Eastern is the obvious play, although Recitador hasn't really found anything so far here in the logic. We still, of course, have the Armos Knights, where we could find something at this point in time. But otherwise, other than a crystal, not a ton of progression that we're finding here.
What do you... In this situation, what would you likely do after Eastern Palace? I feel like I would probably head to Death Mountain, but it wouldn't be for me, it wouldn't be a confident play.
I honestly don't know if there is a confident play at this point in time. You have Death Mountain, and you have maybe the Agena Cave. If you're, there might be a heavy gamble, depending on how you feel about your opponent. You might heavy gamble to say, nah, you only have 2 item locations that you can possibly get right now up on Death Mountain. You have Agena's Cave, which is only 1 item. Nothing else is terribly appealing. Go ahead and dive Aga at this point.
Recitador making short work of the Armos Knights with those silver arrows. I would definitely be interested to see the Aga play, but man, if you don't see that, so by logic, the only accessible Dark World location for the Moon Pearl is the pyramid.
Absolutely right now, yeah.
Yes, and other than that, I think, is the Super Bunny Cave in logic? That doesn't count as a glitch, does it?
Super Bunny Cave is a minor glitch at this point in time in order to be able to do that. However, in order to get to it, you need either both the mirror and hammer or the hook shot. in order for it to be in logic. And we don't have either of those combinations. So right now, Super Bunny Cave is not in logic. We're not going to find our next breadcrumb there, at least.
But is it possible for the Moon Pearl to be in Super Bunny Cave?
I think it is technically possible, although
Okay.
it's been a long time since I've seen it there. So, I mean, so long that Super Bunny Cave is named as such because of that minor glitch to get Super Bunny into that cave. And most people don't even know why it's called that because it's been so long that we've seen Super Bunny.
Yeah. But the point is, there are very, very, very few locations that the Moon Pearl can be in Dark World. It's almost guaranteed to be in Light World, unless it's on the pyramid, the Dark World pyramid. And if it is there, it's a guaranteed Agassiz.
Well, and it's interesting because it's not even the Moon Pearl that has to necessarily be on that pyramid. It could be the item that leads us to. For example,
The hammer.
well, we've already got the hammer, but for example, if the magic powder is on the pyramid, then we know that the Moon Pearl might be, or the next breadcrumb is in Batcave, for example.
Correct. I was just saying that it is possible to have an Agalock seed with the hammer being on the pyramid.
Oh, absolutely. So Recitador is checking the Ice Rod Cave. xIceblue, is going over here to King's Tomb. This is an inspired choice.
20 rupees in that Ice Rod Cave. Nothing too exciting. $300 in the King's Tomb. I'm honestly right now, I'm looking for a fake flipper.
Fake flipper, I mean, is a possibility, and I can see Recitador is doing the Jesus walk.
Close enough.
Well, and fake flipper is really interesting because I don't know. Yeah, Recitador, I think, is going to be able to do this waterfall fairy
Without the Moon Pearl.
without the Moon Pearl, which is a very rare sight indeed.
And it's rewarded handsomely.
I mean, what is this?
Amazing, I think.
I don't disagree with you. There's the Ice Rod.
Ice Rod. Let's go. I am so hyped for this right now. Now, I'm not super familiar with the Jesus Walk glitch. Does it have the one-hit kill like the fake flipper does? If you take any damage,
I believe if you're over water, it would, but if you're in a place where you can land, it does not. Although I fully admit I am not an expert on the Jesus Walk glitches at all. So now, xIceblue is staying within logic here and going up to Death Mountain. Didn't get anything from Gary, the old man. We're going to see if anything's in Spectacle Rock here, if this was the logical choice.
I missed it.
Just a few little hiccups. He's going for it.
He's
though.
going
This
for it.
could
It must
be
be something. With bated breath, there's our Moon Pearl. Okay, xIceblue being even more handsomely rewarded for their efforts.
Yeah, Moon Pearl up in that location. Almost vanilla. Not quite vanilla, but almost vanilla. We'll call it French vanilla.
It's vanilla-ish. It's vanilla adjacent. I like French vanilla. That's really nice. And it looks like Recitador is well on their way to going and getting their own Moon Pearl. So,
xIceblue, of course, going right into the Dark World, saying, "Yep, we're going right to Hype Cave." I don't know, Tiara. Are we going to see a Hype Cave or a Dud Cave here?
I can't even begin to guess. It's so validic lately.
You know, these runners have gotten so few hearts. I think just a heart container by itself is a little bit hype.
That's when you're in the Dark World and you have 5 hearts. A heart container is pretty hype, I'm gonna say.
But I mean, other than that, it's kind of a okay.
the Cave of Meh. We should name that guy in there. I feel like that guy should have a name.
He probably should, but I'm hesitant to give him any other name other than Willard because reasons. All right, xIceblue still scouring the overworld, gets the bug net from Stumpy. Recitador's on his way to get his Moon Pearl as well.
Heading to Thieves Town, always a good choice. Fairly item dense, especially with the power gloves and hammer. We're looking for a mirror. Is my next what I would be personally. And xIceblue did open their map at one point in the Dark World, but I didn't get a good look at the layout. Totally ignores that piece of heart. Gutsy move from xIceblue. Says, I don't need it. I've got enough health. I'm confident in my skill. I'm going to save the frames right there.
See, an interesting routing decision. xIceblue went ahead and is routing from Hype Cave kind of down the south route up into the Village of Outcasts. Meanwhile, Recitador is going to start in the Village of Outcasts. Now, our pendants look like they're Skull Woods, Thieves Town, and dreaded Turtle Rock as our final pendant. That's disturbing.
We got... Now, xIceblue went ahead and picked up the blacksmith's helper, but doesn't have a mirror. Is going to have to save and quit to get back to the light world.
Yeah,
and there it is.
A little bit disappointing because that changes some routing that xIceblue was really routing things together very nicely, but that decision is going to change the routing a little bit and kind of throw Blue off his game a bit.
I definitely would have liked to see a full clear of Thieves Town and then going back to get the blacksmith. Maybe you get the mirror in Thieves Town. Could have been nice, but
yeah,
I'm sure xIceblue has some kind of plan, or maybe just had like a brain fart and saw the guy and said, "Hey, I'll rescue him." Oh wait, I have definitely done things of that nature.
You know what? I don't think anyone has not done things of that nature.
Get a small shield for your efforts.
It's the Fisher-Price My First Shield. Get it for your own kids.
Recitador going into making an interesting play into Skullwoods, which I believe you said was a pendant.
It is a pendant, but Skullwoods kind of has a reputation for always having some sort of progression, especially for those runners who have been around since the fall tourney.
That's true. That more than one time I have been locked out of a seed because Skullwoods was a pendant and I really didn't want to go down in there, and of course there was something good inside. And I saved it for last because I just kind of hate that dungeon.
I'll be honest, Skullwoods is one of those dungeons where most of the dungeon doesn't bother me. It's just the routing up into Mothula and Mothula himself that really gets on my nerves. That's, I think, most runners' least favorite boss.
Yeah, I have sort of a weird taste in dungeons. I really like Misery Mire. Everybody else seems to hate it.
You do have weird taste in dungeons, but that's all right. We won't hold it against you. Now, worth noting here, something that Chad is pointing out is it's interesting. Fire Rod may not be required in this particular seed when you have the only two Fire Rod required dungeons being Skullwoods and Turtle Rock, both pendants. If you have bombos to get through Ice Palace, you may not have to get the Fire Rod at all.
Are there no... interesting. I guess that is true. I thought that there was a... I think there are some lamps that require the Fire Rod that you can't... there are some torches that you can't use the lamp on, but they're not always required. I think there's one in Ganon's Tower And if the big key is in there, then we will need the fire rod. But
yeah, that would be the right side of Ganon's tower is what
Yeah,
you're talking
exactly.
about, where you absolutely, the logic does require. So if the big key is on the right side of Ganon's tower, the fire rod would be required, but then the fire rod could be kind of anywhere and we don't know where it is, and it would be absolutely horrible if that were to be the case. And
oh yes,
I love it.
horrible. I would absolutely hate to see that. Horrible.
As we cackle maniacally behind the scenes.
An intentional wall master grab by xIceblue there.
I mean, I call that the presidential grab because it's orange and grabby.
Wow. I love it. That's amazing. No, nothing didn't seem to be anything of consequence in Skullwoods. I wouldn't mind, while they're in the area, if they checked Skullwoods, I wouldn't mind to see a dip for those first 4 chests into Thieves Town, but I wouldn't say it's the wrong plate to skip it.
No, absolutely not. God, Thieves Town is always just kind of a conundrum, isn't it? Like, you feel like you have to do it because there are 4 items. It's relatively easy to do, and at least the first 4 treasure chests are just so easy to get super quick.
And I just really like doing Thieves Town, just in general. I think it's a really fun dungeon. The boss fight is really amusing, especially if you have like a blue cane or something like that, or a Kate, as they do.
Well, and hammer pegs ended up being not a whole lot, so we're still looking for our next progression item, although, let's see, what do we have that we can actually complete right at the moment, other than Thieves Town? We're not a lot of anything, actually.
I would Eastern or Dark Palace.
Palace of Darkness, it would be a solid play right now if they can get over there.
They have a bow, they have a hammer, and they have a lamp. They have everything they need to get to and complete Palace of Darkness.
I like the cut of your jib, sir. That is probably the correct play.
To the point that I'm surprised it took us so long to think of it, and that neither of them have done it yet.
Well, there's a lot of overworld right now, and one thing that the version 28 and 29 logic has really taught us is that overworld was rebalanced explicitly to make overworld at least as beneficial as doing dungeons. Prior to version 28, dungeons were kind of slightly heavily weighted, so people would kind of focus on the dungeons. Now, with overworld being equal to that, I think a lot of people are finding that they want to focus on overworld just because it has as likely.
There's a mirror in Thieves Town.
Yeah, so xIceblue gets that value.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that, though. I believe I started doing Randomizer probably close to the beginning of version 28. So this is all I've known, and I didn't know that it had been rebalanced in that way. That's very interesting to me.
I mean, and I think it gets overstated a little bit sometimes when people talk about the historical balancing and things of that nature prior to version 28. But it was definitely there. And I think a lot of the older runners, people who've been around since the fall tourney, for example, or even prior to that, have kind of this natural instinct to dive dungeons if possible. But since then, people have been trying to make an effort to readjust and do the overworld. You'll still see some of the older runners really intensely focus on the dungeons, and sometimes that's to their detriment, especially in V28 and after.
That said, recitador definitely making that pod play. xIceblue opting to full clear. Thieves Town, we'll see what that gets them. But we'll get to see what's in pod very shortly here.
If I were xIceblue right now, I'm counting treasures up to this point in time, and I have not been keeping track personally, but as soon as I get that 4th item If it's before blind, I dip out. I'm seeing Turtle Rock as a pendant, and I'm saying there's no way something of value is going to be on the pedestal. I'm out.
Though, one time, very recently, I had a seed where Mirror was on pendant Trinex, and I was very upset.
I mean, that's the nature of Randomizer.
I did PB that seed, so who am I to judge? But speaking again a little bit about the logic discussion, it is, if you can clear a crystal dungeon, it's usually going to be one of your best choices to do so, because you never know what items you're going to find in there. You're going to have to clear it anyway. You're going to, or at least you're going to have to go in there anyway to get the crystal.
As a general rule, yes. I'm not going to disagree with you with that,
Right,
and I prefer that as well. Now, I will say there are specific instances where I might be inclined to check overworld. For example, if I'm one dungeon away and I'm one item away from go mode, and either Ice Palace or Swamp Palace is my last dungeon,
Right.
I might be tempted to hold off, because it is so much faster to go mode those two dungeons specifically. Now, everything else, absolutely.
Because you can, if you're in go mode and you have an idea of what you're doing, you can skip pretty large portions of those dungeons. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I'm just saying, in general, especially at the point in the game where they're at, they only have one crystal each. They have a lot of game left to play. You have access to, you can full clear a dungeon with a crystal. It's a solid play.
And of course, while we're gabbing here, xIceblue not only pulls the mirror from Thieves Town, also pulls the Cane of Samaria from the basement there.
I did not notice that. That's a great catch. Wow.
That is absolutely amazing. That is going to be required to get through Misery Mire, and if anything is in Turtle Rock, you're going to need it there. So
xIceblue Gamble paying off really well.
Yeah, it might be a while before recitador goes back and gets the advantage xIceblue right at the moment.
Very solid advantage right now.
Even with the death to blind, and blind with, I mean, he has some health issues. It's not great health right at the moment, but
got that cape. Knows how to use it. Here we go. There we go. Well played on the rematch.
And just a compass, so if xIceblue was keeping track of the different treasures, he went ahead and killed blind, knowing full well this was a pendant. He might be gambling pedestal at this point.
Maybe xIceblue just really likes the blind fight. Maybe it's his favorite fight.
I mean, you can have your favorite fight whenever you're not speed racing.
When are you ever not speed racing?
Whenever I'm not playing Zelda.
When are you not playing Zelda? You're not playing Zelda right now?
No, I'm talking about Zelda.
I'm doing this way wrong.
So we did find Ether Medallion here in Pod, which we don't know if that's going to be required. We haven't dipped into Misery Mire or Turtle Rock quite yet.
And I appreciate the courtesy laugh, by the way. Not too much coming out of Pod so far. That Ether Medallion, we'll see. We will see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Turtle Rock not required, but it could be Misery Mire.
You know
it's
what?
A 1 in 3 chance.
I never count out Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock has so many treasure chests. It's silly to kind of immediately cross it off your list once it's a pendant.
Absolutely agreed. And just to point out, Recitador, I'm very sure that Recitador's death there was purpose. That's a free little bit of a heal there and a warp back to the beginning. Recitador doesn't have a mirror, so that's a quick way to get back to the beginning and get a little bit of health back. So. Having a little trouble threading the needle, getting that crystal switch, but finds the bullseye. And we're going to see a Helmasaur King fight in just a minute. xIceblue, of course, does have a mirror. Skips another heart piece. We've got a brave little toaster over there. Someone in chat says xIceblue doing Tower of Hera into EDM. That would be my guess. That would certainly be my play. xIceblue has everything they need to full clear Tower of Hera, and then EDM is right there. Item Dense has the hammer to get through the pegs on the top side. Solid routing, more solid routing by Ice. A couple questionable decisions by xIceblue so far, but overall really solid routing decisions coming from the red side over here. Recitador getting a little target practice in there on the green side, on the left side. Getting beat up by some turtles. That's unfortunately. This room, it seems like pretty simple, just a straightforward fight, but those guys can definitely troll you. I don't know if I've ever explicitly died in that room, but I have definitely had my fair share of headaches coming through there.
Well, I think everyone has their different style of dealing with that particular room, and sometimes it's great, and sometimes it just doesn't work too well. And meanwhile,
I did it blind recently for the first time, and I got through, and I was very proud of myself. Thank you very much.
That's a badge you want to wear with honor, sir.
As opposed to all of the other badges I've been bragging about, where, oh yeah, I died in this room like 3 times. Yeah.
Silver arrow to the crystal right between the eyes.
It's so satisfying. So satisfying to kill Helmasaur King with silver arrows. I love it. xIceblue does not have a hook shot. Is trying the bomb jump, but doing the bomb jump from there is going to send you right over the those little star plates. I believe you want to hit the star plate first and then go up and do the bomb jump. That's how I always do that bomb jump.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of a chicken. I'll drop down from the top there.
That's one of the very first bomb jumps I ever learned. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, even if it's like not super useful and it's not super hard to do, it's like, yeah, I can do this bomb jump. I'm super cool. I learned it. It's got kind of a special place in my heart.
Oh, chat pointing out, xIceblue, there's only 2 items in Tower of Hera. He's already gotten both items out of Tower of Hera. He doesn't need to get that at all.
xIceblue seeming to realize this and is switching to the hammer, which I believe is going to be for the Moldorm fight. Doing that... No, going for the...
So, Recitador finds another sword upgrade and on the pyramid. So, while xIceblue is still running around with,
the fighter sword.
The weakest sword, the kind of sword you can get at a sword show on the weekends. Recitador is walking around with a military grade.
The dollar store sword. But does have, not too crazy, does have that hammer. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite xIceblue in the butt during the Ganon fight, but the hammer will make short work of most enemies if you know how to use it. It's a little harder to use. The hitboxes on the hammer are notoriously painful. I think painful is a good word to describe them.
I like janky, just because
There you go.
I mean, it's just not consistent either way. I mean, if you're hitting from the left or right, it's great. If you're hitting from down, it's amazing. If you're hitting from up, it's like in your face. It is amazing that since going into the Dark World, we've had just a single route divergence, where xIceblue went into Thieves Town, which wasn't necessarily required. Recitador made a beeline for Pod, and ne'er the two have met at all since then.
Definitely a really interesting race so far. Items not being too stingy. They've got some items, they've got some places to go and some things to do, but also not, you know, they don't have just like they're not flush with options, you know, they don't have everything they could ever need or want. And the route divergence, they each have they have their own distinct styles, their own distinct strategies, sort of. I'm surprised that they were as close to each other in routing as they were for as long as they were, but since they split up, they have definitely shown some their own personal characteristics. We've got Recitador making the play into Thieves Town, has a good nose on him, knows something's up, has a strong sense of where they need to be. The real question for me is they're going to get this mirror right now. Now, are they going to leave, or are they going to find that cane?
That's going to be a significant question. And he looks like he's going on. That's amazing. xIceblue is in Paradox Cave, picks up Quake. So our second medallion find, we'll see if that's going to be needed.
Second medallion, but first for xIceblue. Recitador has the Ether medallion, xIceblue does not. So if one or the other of those is required for Meyer, this could get very interesting very quickly. Still looking for that flute to get into Meyer.
So let's take a look at, we still don't have Bombos of either of the medallions. So Bombos or Fire Rod is going to be required to get into Ice Palace, really. We don't have Flippers either, which both Swamp Palace and Ice Palace, by logic, require.
I don't even think there's a way to, there might be a way to glitch into, of course there's a way to glitch into Ice Palace, like Fake Flippers or something, but is there a way to get through Swamp Palace without a major glitch? Without Flippers?
No, absolutely not.
I did not think so. I did not think so.
But xIceblue, as if reading my mind, picked up the Fire Rod in the Super Bunny Cave. So that's going to be, we have access to Skull Woods if we want to go ahead and clear that, and that extra item from Sahasrara.
Sasha. So we are looking for, let's take stock. We need, for xIceblue, we need a hook shot. We need a flute, and we need flippers. And that's all that's really required for Go Mode at this point, I believe.
Based on what we know at this point in time, absolutely. Now, these runners...
And whatever medallion.
Yeah, if Misery Meyer ends up being Bombos, then, have fun, guys.
Now, will Recitador has the red cane? Will Recitador fight with him? Oh, that would be a no. Saving a few a little bit of a few minutes there on xIceblue's dive into Thieves Town.
You combine that with xIceblue actually dying and having to re-enter for what amounts to not a whole lot. That's a significant time save there for recitador.
And making the efficient play for the our little frogman here with the mirror. Has the mirror, going to save some time there as well. That xIceblue lead is shrinking as we speak.
Yeah, it's difficult for me, and those people who have heard me, this is going to be my rant. I'm getting ready to rant, and I apologize to chat for having to hear this rant again, because I've said it multiple times. When you're in a game like Randomizer, the quote-unquote lead doesn't exist until both players are in go mode.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, no.
We can certainly say that a certain player has an advantage over another player based on the locations he or she has checked and of a few other items, but a lead does not exist until go mode is active.
xIceblue picking up their first sword upgrade. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I use the words lead and advantage interchangeably, which is probably incorrect, and I apologize for that.
No, it's fine. I'm just picky because
we all have our hangups. I'm learning something right now. I didn't know that you could leave the purple chest outside and go somewhere and then come back and it will still be there.
Absolutely. It's a little bit more efficient. I mean, I hate walking with the purple chest, but when you don't have the flute, sometimes it's the only option. And this is another item location that xIceblue I don't think is checked. So if this is progress, this is big for recitador.
Recitador still having that weapon advantage, the sword advantage. We'll see what this brings to the table. 20 rupees! Nice! I'm calling it for recitador right now. Those 20 rupees.
That's the game changer, huh?
Oh yeah. That's it, man. How can you vote against that? I
mean, sure. We'll go with that.
I believe this is our first check of Agina.
I thought I saw xIceblue checking it, but I might be getting my races mixed up, so I'll trust you on this one.
xIceblue does not have a blue boomerang, so I'm going to say no.
Meanwhile, xIceblue is going over to Pod. I don't recall us getting anything terribly important, although xIceblue will get another... Oh, Ether was? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, recitador getting dead rocked.
Those are my least favorite enemies in the game. I hate those so much.
I think everyone hates those, rightfully so. I've heard respectable people in our community, upstanding members, people you aspire to be to, call those things fart squirrels. So I don't think anyone really likes those things. Meanwhile, recitador is going to be starting his Tower of Hera climb. We've seen recitador be a little bit more self-aware of his item counts over xIceblue, so I think he's going to save a little bit more time over xIceblue as he's climbing Tower of Hera, knowing that he won't have to check that big treasure chest, for example.
It's interesting to me that we know that the fire shield was just picked up in was in Tower of Hera. We just saw recitador pass it by. xIceblue has the fire shield, went through the trouble to put the blocks down and pick up the fire shield, but has skipped 2 heart pieces so far. That's maybe they don't have confidence in their laser bridge and they're hoping for for a mirror shield if it comes to that.
You know, I am one of those people that always appreciates the good shield, so I will pick up shields myself.
But do you skip heart pieces?
Yeah, not with green mail right now.
Yeah.
Like
This is what I'm
green
saying.
mail.
This is what I'm saying. To go through the trouble to pick up a shield, but to skip 2 heart pieces.
Okay, we should establish something. What I would do is not a fair metric for anyone at this point in time. You know, I did not see when Recitador got that vanilla big key chest, so that was 300 rupees. You know, I saw a stat something like 80% of the time that's going to be another key, but this time it's 300 rupees, so kind of interesting.
I know the item stats have been were put out recently, and I haven't had the time to really go through and parse them yet. I bet there's a lot of interesting information in there, though. Recitador, as you pointed out, having a little bit more item awareness, skips the big chest in Tower of Hera, picking up a little bit more time there. Really a good race so far, though.
Absolutely. And xIceblue going ahead and picking up his Ether Medallion, Recitador picking up his other crystal. So we have 3 crystals to 2 crystals, although xIceblue is getting ready to get his other one.
3 crystals to 2 crystals, but don't forget, xIceblue is ahead on pendants.
You know, I know, and I hesitate to say this because I know chat loves to see a pedestal required seed, even though it's like something like 5% of seeds are pedestal required. The items that we are missing right now, the flippers, the flute, and possibly bombos. I don't know if that's necessarily... bombos can't be on the pedestal because of Turtle Rock. But those 2 items, flippers and flute, and hookshot even, can absolutely 100% be on the pedestal. So not only is the pedestal not dead, but those 3 items, which could be holding our runners back, could be there. And I hate giving chat hope because I know you guys are very sadistic, but it's possible.
When I first started playing, one of my first ever seeds was hookshot on pedestal, and I quit immediately.
That's I think an appropriate response if that's one of your first seeds ever and hookshot is on the pedestal.
I used the book on the pedestal and it said boing boing, and I asked in the Discord, I was like, does that mean hookshot's on pedestal? And everyone was like, yep. And I was like, all right,
Done.
Later. Done.
That's, you know what, there have been many times where I'm searching around for something and I find out it's on the pedestal, and I'm not proud of myself in these moments, but I've certainly broken controllers with the rage that I've had.
I have never broken a controller, but I did break my original Game Boy once when I was a kid.
Oh, that's hurtful.
I think that's the only gaming item that I've ever rendered inoperable in anger. xIceblue making short work of the turtle room there.
See, and xIceblue was not afraid to use his sword to slash so he wouldn't accidentally turn things over. That's, heads up to xIceblue. I really respect you for that. Some people don't like swinging. They're like, oh, I can do more damage if I use the hammer. But no, kudos to you, sir. Taking the time.
For me, it really depends on which sword I have. And as I so often say, I'm primarily a swordless runner, so I often don't have that option.
Well, swordless is a special kind of person.
Aww. He thinks I'm special.
Recitador going over here, checking what Turtle Rock is. I'm just avoiding this entirely.
Let's take a look at the hookshot cave. Maybe there's a hookshot in here.
I do not believe there is because xIceblue's already checked this.
Oh, I missed that. I'm very good at my job, thank you.
So both these runners have kind of run over each other's locations at this point in time. We're searching for some sort of progression.
Giving each other the old high five. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's left. What hasn't been checked by anybody? And there's not too much.
I mean, there's a few things that we can check that neither runner has checked, none of them being particularly appealing. xIceblue appears to be going up to Skullwoods, which he hasn't checked at all, but can go ahead and clear out if he really wants to.
I believe xIceblue did make a dip into Skullwoods earlier. I believe they both dipped Skullwoods.
Okay, so he's going to go ahead and full clear it, which still not appealing right now because it is a pendant dungeon.
What else?
The other option that these guys can do, which is an even less appealing option, it would be a big gamble, but it could pay off, dipping Swamp Palace without the hook shot.
Gosh, I think I probably like that better than the second half of Skullwoods.
It all comes down to the item count. I think if I've already gotten 2 items from Skullwoods, I'm avoiding that because I'm hoping to at least get something else.
If you have 2 dungeon, if you have 2 Skullwoods dungeon items already, then yeah, you can go ahead and you maybe you want to come down here, but.
Oh, right. Chat's pointing out how dumb I am. You need flippers for Swamp. Oh my god!
Dude, let's go.
Oh.
Oh man, xIceblue. Again, taking a good quote unquote lead, very strong advantage with that flute pickup.
And that's an amazing play because that's a treasure chest that most people will check Mothula first and then get to that one. So the fact that xIceblue was like, I'm gonna hold off on Mothula as long as possible, paid off.
I would have checked Mothula first if it was a crystal. If as a pendant dungeon, I think checking the chest first is the way.
Either way, that flute is big. That opens up the entire Misery Mire area for xIceblue. Recitador,
as well as Desert Palace.
As well as Desert Palace. I mean, there's no 2 ways about it. That's the right play to make. Recitador looks like he's going to be going up and will be following right in xIceblue's path.
Someone in chat saying 2 things I forget you need for Swamp: flips and hammer. Yeah, the flippers is one thing, but I very often forget that you need the hammer to get through that one set of moles in Swamp Palace.
And I thought I saw an Ether Medallion on xIceblue and checking for Misery Mire, but I'm not entirely sure because it was so quick.
I was reading chat.
All right, so xIceblue checking the other overworlds. Recitador is following I would say, the more traditional routing. He's going to go ahead and beat Mothula, which, so he's going to get his own time waste in here. That's too bad.
SadioX in chat saying, I would disagree in this case regarding doing Mothula or getting the chest based on pendant or crystal. It says, I would disagree in this case since Skull is green pendant, which means getting another item. I don't necessarily 100% agree with that, but I respect the hustle. That's definitely, it's not a wrong answer. I would say that that's definitely a respectable way to think about it. I'm going to go for Mothula, get 2 items.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just saw what the Bunny Vivi is, and oh my god, it's the kitty from Chrono Trigger. Cute!
I have actually never used the Vivi sprite. I do like that Zero Suit Samus turns into a Metroid.
Yeah, that's true too. I like that. Recitador, the very quick Mothula kill, going to be disappointed with whatever burrito.
Interesting. So, Recitador obviously went the other route and decided to kill Mothula before going for the big chest.
Prior to going to this treasure chest that will hold the flute and our progression.
But as was pointed out in chat, if there's something, if Sasha is holding something good, maybe Recitador will have the last laugh after all. We still need there's the flippers from the big chest in Desert Palace. That's a good get. I think just looking for the hook shot now.
Hook shot is going to be our go mode item, absolutely. And I really want to ask, what the HE double hockey sticks are a pair of swimming flippers doing in a desert?
You know, it 1,000 years ago, when the palace was built, it was a lake. That's my new headcanon.
It used to be an ocean there.
Yeah. And so land molas were originally ocean-dwelling creatures. It's a little known fact that I just made up.
Little known facts that you just made up are the best little known facts.
I would say they're the best facts in general, personally.
Oh, so xIceblue is getting ready to fight. He's got silver arrows for his land mola fight. We'll see if he gets the 0 cycle set up. Oh, not quite well enough. Missed all of them.
Recitador going to turn in that green pennant. We'll see if it's the elusive hook shot. And if it is, Recitador is going to be incredibly happy, and I think xIceblue might end up incredibly sad. Nope, 20 rupees. Let's go.
All right, so hookshot, our final item. Recitador going to be heading over and doing the exact same thing. We'll see if we can catch to see if he ends up doing Misery Mire as well. Yep, it is the Ether Medallion, so Recitador is kind of in the same area. They high-five one another. How's it going, guys?
They're such good friends. Great to see this sort of camaraderie, the friendly rivalry between these two excellent runners. I think that looking at the crystals and looking at the items, especially if we can get that hook shot fairly soon, we're going to see a very good time from this seed.
I mean, we're already talking about go mode, and we're at an hour 8. That's significant, and how good that is, all things said.
My PB is 221, so this is amazing to me.
Now, one thing to note, the difference right now between xIceblue and Recitador, and you know what, it cannot be understated at this point in time. If, for whatever reason, they do not pick up another sword, xIceblue is going to have to look at, while they both have silver arrows, xIceblue only has Master Sword. That's a good couple minutes on Ganon by itself. Recitador can make up time on Ganon alone with the equipment that they have right now.
Very true. Very true. And they are, to be honest, I would say Recitador is not more than maybe 5 minutes behind xIceblue.
At the most. And as we mentioned before, recitador has a little bit more heads-up awareness in terms of counting his number of items per dungeon. He has a little bit more awareness of, his routing is just a little bit cleaner than XIceblue. Even though XIceblue, I think, has the advantage. I think a little bit so, yeah. That's not taking anything away from XIceblue, just the fights that recitador has had has just been a little bit cleaner.
In my opinion, I'm not trying to take anything away from you. In my opinion, I might say that XIceblue's routing has been a little bit better, and recitador's execution has been a little bit better. And there's the hook shot. That is go mode for XIceblue. It's time to get hype. I'm already hyped. I done been hyped.
So, Tiara, can you do me a favor, sir?
Sure.
For our people in chat who may not be accustomed to Randomizer, can you explain to me what go mode actually is?
So, as I mentioned earlier, the only thing you need to beat the game really is the 7 crystals. You need the 7 crystals to get into Ganon's tower, so that you can fight Aghanim 2 to unlock the Ganon fight, kill Ganon, beat the game. Go mode is when you have every item that you need in order to complete those objectives. Basically it comes down to having every item to unlock and complete every crystal dungeon. And the last item that XIceblue needed in order to complete, I believe, Swamp Palace is what they needed it for. It's also useful in Ice Palace, but they needed the hook shot in order to complete Swamp Palace.
Thank you for that. You're absolutely correct. The other thing to note that even if, for example, Swamp Palace does logically require the hook shot, but also Ganon's tower does as well. So hookshot and hammer and bow are required to get through Ganon's tower. So those are absolutely required no matter what. Even if, for example, Swamp Palace ends up being a pendant, you don't have to touch it, never have to look at it. It's still required based on Ganon Tower. And miss. Thank you, chat.
Chat, what would we do without you? Be talking into the void.
I mean, I talk into the void all the time.
It comes with being a streamer.
It really does. Chat just pointed something out that's actually very extraordinary. We've not gotten a single bottle this entire race.
That's very scary to me. At my skill level, I need if I have 14 hearts, blue mail, and 2 bottles, I'm very comfortable in my Ganon fight. Less than that, and I start to get a little nervous. Having no bottles at all, pretty scary.
Absolutely. So XIceblue is just about a misery mire ahead. He has to go mode Swamp Palace and go mode Ice Palace. This is going to come down really to an execution race. I know recitador has kind of a sword advantage, but I'm not entirely certain that a sword advantage on its own is going to catch him up. But if his execution is on point and can get him through these next 2 dungeons, recitador has the ability to catch up. It's going to come down to a neck-and-neck race, ladies, gentlemen, and other folks in chat.
Real talk. With the Master Sword, with as many... I believe with the Master Sword, you have to use spin attacks in order to damage Ganon. And with spin attacks and as many attacks as it takes on Ganon, falling off becomes a very, very real danger. And it will only take 1 or 2 falls from xIceblue and a good Ganon fight from recitador for recitador to take this match. It is very much a possibility for recitador to come back and win at this point.
I mean, the difference between Master Sword and Tempered Sword, I don't think can be understated.
I think the difference between Master Sword and Temper Sword is probably the greatest single, aside from silver arrows, probably the greatest single item advantage one can have in the Ganon fight. I personally would say it's even bigger than green mail to blue mail.
Oh, absolutely. And it's worth noting, both of these runners still both have green mail as well. So they're bottleless, and in green mail, I might be a little bit nervous going into this Ganon fight if I were both of these runners, especially in xIceblue's case.
I would be nervous, personally. Though, to be fair, I have seen some very good execution from both of these runners. I think they do both have it in them. I hope xIceblue does not regret passing up those pieces of heart. I really hope xIceblue doesn't regret that.
Oh, you know he's going to, regardless. I mean, it's going to happen. All right, so recitador's going to pick up his big key and then dip out. He's like, wait, I'm in go mode.
Bye. xIceblue.
I apologize. Go ahead.
I think we were probably both going to say pretty much the same thing. xIceblue in go mode, still picking up chests, almost certainly, as we've been talking about, looking for a bottle, looking for red mail, looking for a sword, looking for something to help with the Ganon fight.
I mean, if it's right there, it is less than 2 seconds, and the amount of time that it can save you would be innumerous. It would be incredibly lucky if he were to get that, so I don't think it's going to happen.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think there's probably at least 1 bottle and 1 mail in Ganon's tower. I think that's pretty safe. So hopefully they'll have a chance. And they do have the flute. They needed the flute for Meyer. So picking up a quick potion, if they can get their hands on a bottle, not going to be too crazy. So it's not. They're by no means they're still deep in the woods, but there are routes out available. With a really nice Argus fight from xIceblue. Very clean.
Chat makes an interesting point. They have no bottles, and they're getting ready to have to do Ice Palace. No half magic, no bottles. Which means in order to crack that cold stare, they're going to have to make sure they have full magic at the very end of that particular dungeon, which, if you know Ice Palace, might be a bit of a challenge, given the different things that you have to do in the routing there.
They would definitely be comfortable, sitting a little more comfortable if they had that Bombos medallion. So, for those who don't know, in the Cold Stare fight, you need either the Ice Rod or the Bombos medallion in order to you need one or the other of those items to get through the dungeon itself, because there are enemies in there that must be killed that are vulnerable only to one of those 2 items.
I hate to interrupt. xIceblue I did not see what was on the island. xIceblue went to the Lake Hylia, saw what was on the island, and fluted away. So I think one of those items xIceblue is getting ready to get.
I'm going to guess it's probably a safety. Half magic is what chat is telling me. So that's really nice. There you go. But as I was saying, for the people who don't 100% know this fight and how everything works, for Cold Stare, when you actually get to the boss of Ice Palace, He starts out encased in ice, and in order to damage him at all, you need either 8 shots from the fire rod or 1 use of the Bombos medallion in order to melt that ice and actually fight him proper. The 8 shots from the fire rod is faster, but uses an entire bar of magic power. Normally, half magic, it only uses half a bar of magic power, but it is faster. The Bombos medallion is a little slower, but uses much less magic. I believe it only uses a quarter of a bar.
So XIceblue actually routed, because XIceblue realized he had not yet done the Zora area, went up to check Pyramid to the Waterfall Ferry and pulled Tempered Sword from there. So all that advantage we were just talking about for recitador, gone.
Really nice play. Really good awareness. Just, why don't I just check these really quick? It could have been it could have backfired, but good awareness, good play, good choice.
Absolutely. I mean, at this point in time, I think I'm still more nervous about making sure I have some sort of bottle safety for Ganon and the entire, Ganon's tower climb. But, I mean, at this point in time, we're looking at hour 20. We've been in go mode for a little bit now. This might be close to a PB for both of these runners.
I don't know what their PBs are exactly, but I would not be surprised if that were the case. They've both played, no matter who wins, they've both played exceptionally well.
Absolutely.
Neither of them has anything to be ashamed of at all. I think at this point, unless there's a major change in, they start picking up bottles or armor or something like that. At this point, I think it's really going to come down to execution. XIceblue definitely has a strong advantage right now, but it's easy to die to Ganon, especially with the health the way it is. It's very easy to die to Ganon. If recitador just gets a good fight and XIceblue gets 1 or 2 bad fights, recitador can still easily win this. This is not at all even close to being done.
Yeah, I mean, XIceblue is, I think, 2 or 3 minutes ahead at the most at this point in time, and that can be made up really quickly. Left side, right side gambles are even in play for Ganon's tower here, so let's not count anything out at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, and other folks.
It is interesting. Recitador is going to pick up a small amount of time here. XIceblue had a very nice Argus fight, but did only have Master Sword at that time. This fight goes much faster with Tempered Sword. We'll see how recitador handles the final phase.
So half magic makes Cold Stare a little bit more palatable.
Getting the corner strats, let's go. Oh, that is a beautiful Cold Stare fight. That is almost as good as it can possibly go. Very nicely done from XIceblue.
Well done. Recitador also finishing off Argus relatively quickly.
Screenshot.
Double crystal. So, ladies and gentlemen, and other folks in chat, I would like to draw your attention to the chat. We are on our way up to Ganon's Tower. We here at Speed Gaming have a little game we like to play. There are 22 treasure chests in Ganon's Tower that can possibly contain Ganon's Tower Big Key 1 through 22. Get your guesses in chat right now. Tiara, what's your guess?
So, 2 races. I've watched 2 races in the last 2 days. The race I watched yesterday, I guessed number 1, and it was in chest number 1. The race I watched earlier today, I guessed number 5, and it was in chest number 1. So I'm going to go for chest number 1. I'm going to go for the hat trick. 2 in a row. They say it's impossible. The legends tell that it's impossible for 3 #1 big keys in a row. I say nothing is impossible. I say together we can do this.
I mean, sure.
Unrelated pants laughed, and that's good enough for me.
Well, okay. I'm gonna be a little bit more trolly. This seed has been entirely too kind to both of our runners. I feel like it has some troll left in it. I'm looking at likely. We're gonna go into the high teens. We're gonna go chest number 19 myself.
Why don't you just go for 22?
Because I like being contradictory.
Really nice Stalfos Knight room from Recitador there, getting the quick kill. But xIceblue is headed to Ganon's tower. Let's go. I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to see this happen.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So, I mean, as we mentioned earlier, these two are very, very close. This could come down to a left-right side gamble. We'll see if xIceblue prefers left or right side strats.
Assuming Recitador can get to Cold Stare.
Guys, you don't have to do the bomb jump. You know that, right?
You have Samaria. At this point, I think it's personal. I think it's just like, I'm gonna do it. I don't even care if I lose the race. I'm gonna do it just to show that I can do it. There. Oh, no! Recitador, please. We believe in you.
Don't mirror! Don't! Oh my god, Recitador! You mirrored! What? What are you doing? Oh, feels bad, man.
Yeah, he had no hearts and no bottles,
So xIceblue went right side and found nothing. I mean, Mirror Shield is nice to help with the Igors there, but otherwise, eh.
Yeah, I don't. The Mirror Shield is I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the Mirror Shield. I use when I play, I use the Twilight Princess Zelda sprite. And I think it's a really like an incredibly well done sprite. And then I get the Mirror Shield and it covers the whole thing up, and I feel bad.
I think that's a fair statement. You know, sprite team. Here's something you need to get to work on. Change Mirror Shield so it doesn't cover up all of your rest of your sprite work.
I would. Oh, there's a blue potion for Recitador. Very nice.
And
that might actually be the difference. It's still an open game. If xIceblue gets no safeties and struggles, you can if you have a quote unquote bad seed like this, you can easily spend a good 10 minutes trying to fight Ganon with no potions, no safeties, no nothing. That blue potion could possibly win the game for Recitador. It's not crazy to think that that might be a thing.
So, in the meantime, xIceblue does go ahead and find the big key in, I think that was the rando room. I miscounted. I'm sorry. But on his way up, he's got silvers, he's got butter, he's got half magic, green mail, no safeties. Might be dangerous, but it's okay. if I were a betting man, yeah, he's getting ready to go into this safety room right here, which is definitely a safe play, getting ready to go through this gauntlet.
I don't think I have ever not gone into that room. I always have like half health and like no magic by the time I get there.
I mean, at the very least from the Mimics room, because they always hit me.
Yeah, the mimics, and then if I have them, I always use cane and or cape to get around the Igors, the spikes, the cannonballs. Yeah, I actually think that early part of Ganon's Tower is the hardest part. I think that's probably the most difficult part of Ganon's Tower overall. That's easily where I lose the most health and resources.
And recitador spending his blue potion on the Ice Palace bomb jump.
Hey, pride is a sin, man. Come on. Hit that switch and get out of here.
Oh, man. Recitador. Nope, you're too low.
It's painful to watch. Like, I feel him, right? Like, I know that feeling where hey, let's go!
There you go, Recitador. As much time as he spent on that, I mean, it's really hard to play catch up from how far behind he is now, unfortunately.
It's not impossible. We'll see what happens. But like I said, I have been there. I don't know if I've ever been there in a race, but I have been there where you want to do it your way. You know there are better ways to do it. You don't care. You're going to do it your way. You're going to prove, even to nobody else, you're going to prove to yourself, I can do this. I feel that pain, but man, oh man, that's a lot of time to lose.
Here's what I know is going to happen. And I'm talking to you, Recitador, because I know you're going to go back and watch this restream. Sometimes, when things go wrong, swallow your pride. Go ahead and hit that switch. It's okay. I'm going to make an educated guess, because I think we've all been in that situation before, that you already think you're behind, so you go ahead and you want to do it your way. You're just going to say, I'm going to do this because I'm behind. Lost. I've already lost, so there's no point. You haven't seen it done yet. Go ahead and swallow your pride, because, man, you were right there until the Ice Palace bomb jump. Oh, and old Mr. Sunshine with the Recitador with the kill. xIceblue up on Mini Moldorm, and Chad quoting Sinatra. I did it my way.
Recitador not quite getting the quick kill that xIceblue did on Cold Stare there. Still a pretty good fight, good clean fight. Not too bad. I have to say though, as crazy as all that has been, as this has still been a great race, and no safeties, no mail. Can xIceblue do this Ganon fight? Because you can as ahead as you can be as ahead as you want. If you can't win a fight, if you can't beat a boss, you can't win the race. I'm not saying that xIceblue can't do this fight. How long is it going to take them to beat Ganon? How many tries is it going to take xIceblue to beat Ganon? If xIceblue beats Ganon first try or whatever, hey, no problem. Race 1, GG. But I have no problem saying the fight that xIceblue is about to go into, I could not do. Not on my first try. I can. This isn't me questioning. This isn't me saying xIceblue is a bad runner. This is me saying that I know I personally could not do this fight. Can xIceblue? Let's find out.
I mean, it's Grumble, 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 grumble. Seriously, you're supposed to bring food, says Ganon. But you know what? XIceblue has, even with green mail, has butter, has silvers. Just avoid getting hit once. Half magic, yeah, do it. I think he's in good shape right now. He's going to stand there.
I can't believe he didn't, at the very least, go and grab the fairy from the tree. This is wow, the guts, maybe the confidence, maybe the mania, maybe XIceblue is just crazy right now. This is. But I mean, this is a crazy. He's doing it. I can't. This is it right here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid play.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I've ever seen a Ganon fight this clean, myself personally. That was amazing. Holy crap! Well done. Well played, XIceblue. GG. There's nothing else to say. GG.
That was absolutely amazing, XIceblue. As clean of a Ganon fight as you could possibly get. GG, xIceblue with an official time. Well, it's not going to be an official time, but 1:35:30. That's looking real good there. OMG indeed. xIceblue, get your GGs in chat going.
That was great. As much as I hyped up how difficult that Ganon fight can be, XIceblue just gave me the finger and said, no, let me show you how it's done.
And xIceblue joins us in chat. GG, sir.
Hey, what's up?
I'm just over here gushing about that incredible Ganon fight you just had. Holy crap. Well done and well played.
I was worried at first because I had Master Sword, and then when I was like, you know what, let me go check the waterfall chests since I died.
Just real quick, let me just go check it real quick.
I was originally gonna check that on the way with no sword, but then I died to the crab, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I guess I'm just never going there. And then I was like, let me check the island. And I saw half magic. I was like, hey, we're going to get that before Ice Palace. And then I was like, let me check waterfall chest. I was like, I don't want to fight Master Sword Cold Stare. That's not fun. And then sure enough, there was a tempered sword in there, which made my life tremendously easier.
That was a really good play by you. Like I said at the time that was like a really, really good awareness of yourself, your items, what you have and haven't done, where things can and can't be. That was it was a little bit of a gamble, but really well done play on that one. And just a really well done race. Man, an hour 35?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of shocked. I thought I messed up when I finished Thieves Town. I misread my map when I checked it, and I saw the red crystal on Meyer, and I looked at it as a red pendant, so I was like, cool, Meyer's a pendant.
Oh no!
And then when Thieves Town, and when I killed Blind, I was like, wait a second, this doesn't look like a crystal.
That's what we were wondering, why you took the time to kill him. I said maybe it's just his favorite fight. Maybe he just really likes fighting Blind. I don't know. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I played myself.
I mean, we were seriously wondering, but even despite that, I mean, miscount there. You ended up pulling it out. Tell me a little bit about, there was the sequence there at the very end where you were trying to find flippers, flute. I think flute was the key there in that breadcrumb. Flute, flippers to hook shot. And it was just kind of a race between the two of you who found the progression first, and flute ended up being a thing.
So when I found Fire Rod, I thought about it. I was like, okay, we found Fire Rod. I was like, this seed is either directing me to T-Rock, where it's going to be Fire Rod to the torches on the moving platform. And then when I checked T-Rock and it was Bombos, I was like, okay, so it's not directing me there. I was like, okay, there's got to be somebody there's got to be a progression item in Skull Woods. I was like, this is the only reason why I would just find Fire Rod. So I went and checked that chest, and sure enough, there was the flute.
It's amazing to me that you say that with such confidence, and I know for a fact that if I had had this seed, there would have been nothing in Skull Woods or Turtle Rock, and I would have completed them both.
Well, the way
That's
I
the way
routed
it would have gone for me, I'll tell you right now.
the way I routed it, I always check Skull Woods like first now when I go through Village of Outcasts, because it's a quick check. Like there's no reason not to be honest.
When you guys went through Skull Woods, for the first time, you guys went through Skull Woods. I think there was a point where you were both in Skull Woods at the same time. If not, it was very close. But we were talking about it at that time, where it seems like, maybe it's confirmation bias, but it seems like there is very often, pendant or crystal, there is very often progression in Skull Woods.
Yeah. And that was the play on, that was the big play on Thieves Town. I dove into Thieves Town thinking it was a crystal. So
Well, it paid off. So
it did. Mirror and Cane. Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, and then just you guys were really close for most of a very large portion of the race. You guys were within maybe a couple minutes of each other. You had different routing choices, but it all came together, and you guys. It was a really good race, and you pulled it out. I'm really impressed with it. Can I ask you what your PB is?
That actually is my PB for standard mode.
We were thinking about. We were like, man, we were thinking like, man, it could be that both of them PB on this. This is a really not just a good seed, but really well executed.
The way that the game told you to route was really nice.
Yeah, just like the kind of the breadcrumbs that it was giving you.
Like the moment I found Mitts, and then the decision to go up to Death Mountain to find the Pearl was very nice. So it allowed me to route straight to Hype Cave, which had nothing in it. It was
had a heart that at that point you really needed.
So the decision to route there, to go up, grab the dwarf. Oh, cool! He validated his run too. The decision to go and route to dwarf, and then back safe quit, and then just bring dwarf with me to Village of Outcast. Well, on my way to Kakariko was nice.
Yeah, I actually have a kind of a weird question. I noticed that you, at the beginning, like very early in the run, you skipped several heart pieces, but then later you picked up the fire shield. You took the time in Tower of Hera to go slightly out of your way and pick up a fire shield. What was your thinking behind skipping the heart pieces but going for the extra shield?
I can dodge attacks and stuff like that. Fireballs, no, I'm gonna get hit all the time. And then Aghanim, of course.
Gotcha.
Fireballs are just awful in Aghanim's fight.
So it's sort of like thinking that like the shield is worth a heart or two by itself for you.
Yeah.
For you personally, it's just like a personal thing. You really like to have the fire shield. That makes sense to me. It's just something that I noticed, and I was like, well, if he's that worried about taking damage, why wouldn't he take the heart pieces? But you didn't regret it. You played a great scene. You had a great run.
Where was a bottle at? I never found a bottle.
I believe Recitador found a bottle. It was the first chest in Ice Palace. The one.
Oh, the penguin room.
Yeah, exactly.
I was desperately looking for a bottle when I only had Master Sword. That was the whole reason why behind checking those chests. I was like, I need a bottle. Like this is not gonna hurt.
Yeah. I'm surprised you dived right into that Ganon's fight with aplomb. Like you just did not care. I am surprised you didn't at least go get the fairy from the tree right at the pyramid there.
I'm pretty confident with the Ganon fight. especially with Butter Sword. Butter Sword just makes you overconfident, in my opinion.
Recitador not quite so confident with the one health, with the one heart. Gonna go ahead and go grab that fairy real quick.
At half heart, he dies. Oh god.
Oh no! Had a fairy though. Hey.
So
He'll
I
just
gotta ask you, Blue, was there at any point in this race did you feel behind, ahead? You know, what was your mindset going through here? It felt like kind of a linear seed from start to finish, but did you feel like you were? Did you feel good through it? Did you feel like you might be behind at any point? What's your thought process here?
When the pendant dropped from blind, I felt like I was behind. Because I count chests. I know all the chests in each of the stages, and then like when the pendant dropped, I was like, I know I counted this right, but then I was like, oh, come on. Especially when I died to blind, and I had to run back. I definitely felt behind.
So did you make any different decisions because you felt like you were behind as the seed went on?
Just the gambling on the extra chest opens.
All right, so I mean, you move on to 1-0. Kind of, can you give me your thoughts on kind of the, how much Rando have you watched throughout? It's only 2 days old, but the tournament so far, kind of your overall thoughts.
I haven't actually watched any of the races so far. I've actually been working, but I haven't had a chance to. But I will eventually go watch the VODs. But I've played a few seeds, and I've also been playing since like V18 or so. Just not, like a lot. But I play for fun. Sometimes competitive, but mostly just for fun.
Well, and now you're playing competitive, and you got a PB of 135 going into, and V29 isn't an easy seed to get that 135 either. So kudos to you, sir, for doing that.
Almost a full hour shorter than my PB. It is a full hour shorter than my average. I probably average about 130, 135, 140. My PB is, or excuse me, 135, 240. My PB is 221. So just to see you just get a 135 like it's no big deal, man, that's really impressive.
It was the seed itself. I mean, it was like you said, it was super, super linear. Like one progression item leading to another progression item, and it was just like that. Fire Rod led to Flute, which led to Meyer, which had Hook Shot. It was super, super linear.
And GG to Recitador does end up finishing at 146.54. We're going to pull him in here.
And there he is.
GG, Recitador. How you feeling, sir?
I was feeling mostly okay until Ice Palace, but I still didn't feel like I was in the lead or anything.
Hey, GG, man.
GG.
Yeah, nothing shameful about either of your runs. That was a really close race for a very large majority of it, and good times, really good times from both of you.
Absolutely. I mean, just to clue you in, I mean, it was back and forth between the two of you. Recitador had a little bit of an edge, and XIceblue had a little bit of an edge, and you went back and forth. It was that final breadcrumb, that getting that flute in Skull Woods. XIceblue was about 2 or 3 minutes ahead. Recitador, you were kind of right on his heels, and maybe a dungeon or so behind when you guys were in go mode. And then, I mean, we thought it might be interesting because XIceblue went right side Ganon, and we're like, okay, if Recitador goes left side, we got ourselves a game here. And then that Ice Palace happened, and yeah.
I kind of figure I wasn't behind by enough. The Ice Palace part didn't really make too much of a difference, but it was.
What happened? What happened in Ice Palace?
Well, for some reason, I decided to not be able to do the bomb jump, and without any bottles or safeties apparent anywhere, I had to dip out and go get a health refill. And I was like, I'm just going to do it the regular way. And then I opened the first chest, and it was a freaking blue potion. So I did the bomb jump anyway because I was like, well, I've got a potion refill on now. So Then I switched to bombs because I was going to do the bomb thing in the room below it, and I was going to throw a couple of salty bombs on the way out, but I accidentally picked one of them up and fell, so I had to redo the bomb jump again.
Yeah, I never found a single potion. I was worried until I found tempered and butter.
Yeah, well, their first chest in Ice Palace was a blue potion for the record.
You missed a very beautiful item on the Hylia ledge. It was a pretty good item.
What's that?
Half magic.
Oh, jeez.
I checked it right before going into Ice Palace, and I was like, let me just check this. And I saw half magic, and I was like, all right, we're fluting, going back to 4.
Honestly, that didn't even make that much difference. It was more of a problem of not having a bottle or anything that I could filled up before I went to Ice Palace. That was like the main issue. I actually had some of the best execution I've had all week on this one. It was pretty nice.
It was really, really well played by both of you. It was interesting because Recitador actually had had a tempered sword like very early, almost like from the beginning of the game. Yeah, you were. I think XIceblue was probably about a dungeon ahead going into Ice Palace, so it was still really close up to that point.
That's closer than I was expecting it to be honest. So I don't sub 2 very often, so this was one of my better times.
Yeah, no shame for either of you. It was a great race, and even with having some trouble in Ice Palace there, you still put up a really, really great time. Head and shoulders better than anything I've ever done, so yeah. Kudos to both of you. Congrats.
Thanks, GG.
GG.
And GG to both of our runners, of course, xIceblue and Recitador. If you want to give either of these runners a follow, they're both amazing runners. Don't let their modesty here fool you. They're amazing. Go ahead and give them a follow here on Twitch. We'll go ahead and get the link there.
Yeah, I think we have a command for that.
Yeah, it's somewhere. Tonight, let's see. Starting right now, I mean, we have lots of matches that are going on right now. So if you want to head on over to Speed Gaming 2, we have Weighty Words versus Oh Hey It's David. That started about an hour ago. Just starting right now, though, we have lots of amazing games going on tonight. We have Chex Human versus Kirito 5 on Speed Gaming 3. On Speed Gaming 4 at 11 o'clock, we have Jaxus versus Emo Sorrow. That's going to be a very hype match on Speed Gaming 4 at 11 o'clock Eastern. Then at 11:30, right here on Speed Gaming 5, we have Pika Pals versus Bent Glass Tube. Pika, of course, was in the finals of the recent Key Sanity tournament. Definitely want to hype that one up and get there if you can. And of course, more matches even into midnight. Sayadon versus Zunker to the rescue, and Who42 Baker versus B- on Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 at midnight. There's still rando to be had today, guys. It's nonstop. There's 256 races going on.
We're practically giving it away.
I mean, well, we are.
Just let me have this.
Okay, it's okay. All right, Recitador, xIceblue, do either of you have any other comments before we kick things off and send it on over to these other games?
No, just good luck in your next race. It was GG.
Yeah, good luck, and I'm actually, that seed was pretty nice for first tourney seed, so I was not mad at it at all.
I was extremely worried when I saw Hammer and Cape. I was like, oh, Aghanim.
Yeah, I had that thought, and then the boots earlier were nice, and I don't know, it ended up being a lot friendlier than I was for sure we were going to go into Turtle Rock. I was for sure we were going to go into Turtle Rock to get the flippers, get the ice rod, to get the hook shot off Trinex.
Yeah, you always got to think of that with this logic. TR usually hides progression.
All right. Well, thank you so much, both xIceblue and recitador. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Fiesel and our whole Speed Gaming crew. Go ahead and give us a follow here on Speed Gaming. 1 through 6 is all available. Also, ALTTP Randomizer 1 through 4 is available. A big shout out to our tracker, Dataplet, doing all the work behind the scenes. Thank you, Dataplet. And of course, our wonderful co-commentator, Tiara. Excellent working with you, sir. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm Valkyrie Tiara. I will be commentating more matches, I hope. So you were great and funny, and extra special thanks to our runners who did a great job. So yeah.
All right, for all of us here at Speed Gaming, we'll go ahead and sign off. Go ahead and have a great rest of your evening, everyone. Check us out on the other Speed Gaming channels, and we will see you for more randomizer action tomorrow.